last weekend, Cedar Point put on their annual Winter Chill Out event. This is an event where enthusiasts can go to the park, check out what happens during the off-season, learn about the new things coming for the upcoming season, and raise money for a good cause. The event raised over $150,000 for A Kid Again, which is an organization that helps kids dealing with life-threatening illnesses. So in this video, we are going to be going over all that we learned from Winter Chill Out this year, and what is coming to Cedar Point this year, and what things will be changing in the park this year, which there will be a lot of changes at the park in 2023, so let's get into it. So the first thing guests got to see is the construction progress on the new Boardwalk area of the park. The new Wild Mouse coaster by Zamperla is coming along very well. The track is complete and they are working on the other stuff. Guests also got the chance to check out the new cheese car, which was unveiled back at IAAPA in November. Guests also got to sit in the cheese car, which is very cool. We also learned that the other cars on the Wild Mouse will have names. They are Ziggy, Zaggy, Dizzy, Maisie, Chase, and Larry. Another thing we learned is to help with capacity of the coaster, it'll have a moving station, which is really cool. We don't really see something like that at a Cedar Fair park, so this is a really cool thing that should hopefully help with capacity. Also, for those wondering, Wild Mouse will unfortunately not have a first rider or pass holder preview event before the ride opens. So another thing guests got to check out is the construction progress on the Grand Pavilion, which is the 2-story restaurant and bar that replaces Wicked Twister. One thing that we learned about the pavilion is that there will actually be stained glass from the original Grand Pavilion that got refurbished and will be located in the building, which is very nice. Another thing we learned is that there will be 2 dining rooms that will be located on the 2 edges of the building, and the windows in the pavilion will actually be able to open, creating a nice summer beach breeze, which will be very nice. Also, we learned that the menu for the main restaurant in the Grand Pavilion will feature dry rubbed pork tenderloin, slow roasted turkey breast, island pineapple chicken, Creole butter shrimp, beer battered walleye, and more. And plus, great news, they will all be on the dining plan. We also learned that upstairs in the pavilion, there will be a quick service snack bar that will feature items that have not been announced yet. The second level will also be where the bar is, which I'm hearing will be a pretty large bar. Attendees got a sneak peek of the renderings of the inside of the pavilion, which was in a closed-off presentation, so they could not get any pictures, which is why I'm just showing you some construction pictures, none of the renderings. So if you were there and can describe what you saw, go ahead and describe it in the comments so I can hear more. There will also be multiple viewing decks that offer amazing views of the beach and lake. Also, for those wondering, you will not be able to access the pavilion from the beach area in Boardwalk, only in the main park. The last thing on the Boardwalk is that there will be a new entry sign over each of the entryways of the Boardwalk area, and what was described is that they will have the same format as the old Cedar Point sign on Cleveland Road from many years ago, which will be very nice. Great way to pay homage to your history. The next thing that guests got to see is the progress on Top Thrill Dragster and its upcoming transformation. While nothing was said about the ride as it is a 2024 edition, there were some interesting things that came about all of this. All of the track minus the top hat, so the launch and brake run track along with most of the supports are all gone. Also, the station platform, queue, and control booth are all gone. The only thing remaining from the station is the roof of the structure, which honestly I find kind of interesting. I thought they would have torn that down first. Perhaps the biggest part from this whole thing is that Iron Dragon track pieces and supports from the section of the ride right behind Dragster Station are missing. Cedar Point did claim that it is maintenance, and track does get rebuilded on these aero suspended coasters from time to time, but why would they remove supports for just track maintenance? They likely removed the supports and track so they can get stuff back there, like big machinery back there. Honestly, I think this basically solidifies the spike rumor. The common rumor right now is that Top Thrill Dragster will be getting a swing launch with a giant vertical spike. And that track section removed from Iron Dragon is in the same general area where the rumored spike could go. It is also lining up right now. It is all lining up right now. We'll just have to wait and see, though. But this is a project to watch this season, and it seems to be turning out to be more than we all thought. So the last thing I'm going to be talking about is some new things we learned about the park this year, and there's a lot to talk about here. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is that it was announced that Chick-fil-A will be leaving not just Cedar Point, but all Cedar Fair parks this year, as the contract had expired and they decided not to renew because of the improved culinary team at the parks. Honestly, I'm not surprised about this, as I've been predicting for a while now that we are going to start seeing these chain restaurants leave the parks and be replaced with park original options. Now, it is worth mentioning this is not the first time Chick-fil-A has left Cedar Point. If you remember, back in 2016, they tried to replace Chick-fil-A with Frontier Inn, which I actually enjoyed Frontier Inn when I went back in 2016 with my youth group the year after I finished 8th grade. But after guest feedback and stuff, they brought back Chick-fil-A in 2018. In terms of what is going in there now, that remains to be seen. But if I were to take a guess, maybe we see the return of Frontier Inn. Honestly, I would like that. I liked Frontier Inn. We'll just have to wait and see. So some other changes include that Derby Dogs will be combined with the walking taco stand, and the current walking taco stand will become a bar. The Mac Shack will not be returning, and what replaces it is to be announced. Wild Turnip will not be returning, and it looks to return to a Famous Dave's barbecue joint, according to this photo. Obviously, that's not confirmed, though. And then the Town Hall Museum project is no longer planned, and Tony hinted at the park utilizing that building as something else in the future, and park history being told in other areas. So the last thing we learned, and this is actually a pretty significant one, I was not really expecting this, is that Forbidden Frontier, the attraction that came in 2019 right before COVID, will not be opening and will likely be removed. This was added in 2019 and was actually pretty well received. I remember hearing rumors that they were looking to expand it out to other parks because it was very well received. However, in a business, you got to remember that a lot of stuff you have to look long term. It didn't seem to be doing what happened in 2019, especially after COVID and reopening everything. And it's just I'm not honestly surprised, as it seemed to be declining attendance-wise. Tony Clark did say that people vote with their feet, and it seems that since reopening in 2021, there hasn't been as many people going through there, and it uses a good chunk of space. It used a mix of the leftover Shoot the Rapids plot as well as Dinosaurs Alive. So that was a pretty big plot. And it takes a good chunk of space, and you also got to look at the labor. There's been a lot of labor trouble these last couple of years. It's been, not just there, but, all over the country is struggling with employment right now. So it makes a lot of sense. You got to have more employees to staff the rides and food places and all that, not just be actors. It required a lot of labor. So from a business and financial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense, but it does suck for families who would go through there and play on that large play structure. Forbidden Frontier, in the middle that Millennium Force goes by, there's that giant playground that a lot of kids love. But Tony did hint that the playground could find a new home in the future, but nothing is confirmed about that. As for what will go in that space, probably nothing anytime soon. Boardwalk this year, Dragster next year, with Dragster being a big investment and all that, likely. We're probably going to be pushing, if they're going to do a coaster, probably 2027 or so. But my idea is a GCI wooden coaster would be perfect there, especially if they were to take out the Sky Coaster and Snake River Falls. They could do something pretty good there. We'll just have to wait and see. There's also some speculation I've heard that Dragster could extend its layout after the Top Hat into that area, but I highly, highly doubt that. As, if they do the rumored spike that's nearly 500 feet tall, that's a lot of money. And if they were to replace the track with new track and a lot of new supports and all that, that's a lot of money. It's not cheap to go that tall. It is not cheap. So that wraps up all you need to know from Winter Chill Out. Let me know your thoughts on what we learned about Cedar Point for this year. And of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another video. And I will catch you guys all later.